Boys and Girls Podcast.
I'm Sissy Goff.
And I'm David Thomas, and we're so glad you joined us for this conversation. Let's dive in.
Megan Piphus is a 4-time Emmy-winning producer and artist who began performing at age 10 and gained national recognition as a ventriloquist on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno and America's Got Talent. A graduate of Vanderbilt University with degrees in economics and finance, Megan made history as the first Black female puppeteer on Sesame Street, where she performs as Gabrielle. In 2023, she released the children's album Spaceships and Dreams, featured on Apple Music Kids' Best of 2023 list. In partnership with Saving Our Daughters, a nonprofit that mentors elementary-age girls, Megan produced a children's music album that provided over 60 girls across the U.S. with recording opportunities. As a mom to 2 boys, Megan combines her passion for storytelling with her mission to inspire young minds. We were thrilled to meet and share time with Megan, and you will be too. Megan, we have been hearing amazing things about you for a long time. I think probably 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Was when a dear mutual friend of all of ours, Lewis Agnew, started telling us about you. And then I started following you and just have been blown away by all of the amazing things you're doing in the world. So it's such a privilege to get to sit with you and talk with you today.
Thank you for having me. Yes. I'm very blessed to be able to do what I do for our kids.
Yeah. We are thrilled. And you need to know you are our first ever ventriloquist to be on this podcast.
Yeah, you are.
And I'm going to have to read this list. I'm blown away by the things that you do, your capacities and talents. So you are a highly accomplished singer. You're a songwriter, now a children's book author. You have a master's degree in background in commercial real estate and an Emmy Award.
I mean,
my goodness.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is right. So will you just start out by telling us a little more about you and how you found your way to the work you're doing?
Yeah, so my beginnings started as a creator and a creative. I've always loved just making things and using my imagination. And I think that relates to everything that I've done in my career so far. So growing up, my mom's a teacher and my dad is a pastor. And I constantly saw them use their imagination. For my dad, him using his imagination, his creativity to make 1 hour long services every Sunday. He wasn't just a pastor, he was also the music minister. So from start to finish, he was, doing an hour to 2 hour long service every Sunday. And then my mom completely making her lesson plans from scratch for Cincinnati public schools, which at the time was severely underfunded. So she's using her own resources and creativity to make special projects for her kids. And during the day when they were working, I would stay with an elder of the church. Her name was Mima, and she would watch me during the day and put on PBS for me. And we would watch Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop. So I didn't go to a Head Start program. My Head Start program was Mima and PBS.
Wow.
And so I learned to imagine characters and stories with Mima. And as I grew older, I got involved in children's church, the children's choir, sat next to my dad on the piano as he, made arrangements for the choir. So and without realizing it, I was learning how to songwrite and how to produce by just going to choir rehearsals with my dad.
Incredible.
And there was a lady at my church who started a children's puppet team and asked if I'd be wanting to learn and try. And so I said, yeah. So we all went to a conference together to learn how to do puppetry. And in that conference, I saw female ventriloquists who would sing and tell Bible stories with their puppets. And at the time, I didn't know as a 10-year-old that I was like seeing a unicorn. For one, to see a female ventriloquist, and then 2, a singing one, and 3, one that told Bible stories.
Yeah.
So,
amazing.
So I went home, I was like, Mom, hey, you want to play? Hey, bitches.
No playing. We're talking.
You can play with me. So, so I immediately went home and I said, I want to learn how to do this.
Wow.
And my parents didn't think it was strange. My mom saw it as an opportunity for me to open up because I was still very shy, even though I, was performing all the time on stage at church. And so she helped me find videos from the library on how to do ventriloquism. We found a toy puppet from the toy store, and I watched the tapes and learned how to do it, and took my puppet to school and told jokes to my classmates.
You really? At 10?
Yeah, and so like on our classroom breaks, I was, cracking jokes with my classroom with my puppet. And my teacher noticed, and she said, "Why don't you share what you learned at our next school's devotional?" And so I wasn't just going to get up and be like, "Hey, I learned how to do
Patches."
Girl. You're like my coffee breath, Patches. I appreciate
you're so warm and animated. She just can't control herself.
You can
Patches.
Sit with me, girl. You can be on the microphone. But yeah, she's like, "No, I want to play." So I didn't want to just get up and say, "Hey, this is how I learned how to do ventriloquism." I actually sat down and wrote like a 2-page script.
Did you?
Yeah,
really?
on God's love.
Oh, wow.
Because it was a Christian private school.
Wow.
And we went from kindergarten to 6th grade. And so I did that script in front of my school, and that was a pivotal moment in my life because I realized that you could capture the attention of any age using a puppet. And you could teach them anything. You could teach them physics if you wanted to, a kindergarten physics if you're using a puppet.
Wow.
And so from kindergartners all the way to my teachers, I was able to captivate them for a good 10 to 15 minutes. And so from there, I performed at other schools, my church, other churches, and all around the city of Cincinnati.
Wow.
with my puppets that I would create. And so I dreamed.
You would create the puppets at this point, too?
The characters. I wasn't actually making them myself, but I was making up the characters.
Which I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, the amount of acting. I mean, the skill for ventriloquism, but the acting piece of it, too. You have to be a great actress.
Yeah, you have
You
have to act for yourself and then also act for the puppet and separate your personalities to make the characters seem believable, make it seem like it's not you. And so I would make alter ego, something that was so different from myself. I was, this shy, small girl. And so I had an alien puppet that had a big voice, and her name was Eartha. She was a diva, and she would sing all the Motown classics. And so it was bizarre. I was 12, 13 doing this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And now a quick break to hear from one of our awesome sponsors so that we can bring you all this great content.
David, I was on a walk with Patches and ran into a new mom who had a baby strapped to her while pushing a stroller with a 2- and 4-year-old in it.
Please tell me you gave her a hug, a bottled water, and maybe a snack.
I wanted to. I told her how great she was doing, and she told me she learned about Need It on our podcast.
Need It offers products that are formulated by experts in women's health and recommended by over 6,000 practitioners.
Pregnancy and postpartum are some of the most nutritionally demanding times in a woman's life, and a mom and her baby's health now and for years to come is influenced by her nutrient status. 95% of women in the perinatal stage have nutrient deficiencies, but there are so many women's health prenatal supplements out there, it can be hard to know what's truly the best option.
There is so much on the journey to motherhood that you can't control, but nutrition is a big one that you can.
Head over to thisisneeded.com and use code RBG for 20% off your first order.
That's THISISNEEDED.com and use code RBG for 20% off your first order. Don't tell my doctor, but I'm on my 4th cup of coffee this morning. Having a 10-month-old puppy that wakes at 5:30 a.m. ready to take on the day is about to do me in.
Well, I may have a solution for you. I love my coffee routine, but don't like the way it makes me feel. Everyday Dose has the classic coffee taste you love without the nasty side effects, plus added benefits. No crash and no jitters.
Everyday Dose is coffee plus benefits. It combines 100% Arabica coffee with powerful ingredients like lion's mane and chaga, collagen protein, and nootropics to fuel your brain, boost focus, and give you clean, sustained energy all day long.
No crash, no jitters, just clean, sustained energy. 2 products to highlight, Coffee Plus and Coffee Plus Bold. Coffee Plus is a mild roast, light and smooth. Low acidity, which is easy on sensitive stomachs. Mellow energy.
Coffee Plus Bold is a rich blend of medium roast, 100% Arabica coffee, robust and full-bodied yet smooth, extra boost of energy.
Both are 100% Arabica coffee, have functional benefits, and are mold-free. Everyday Dose does third-party testing.
Get 45% off your first subscription order of 30 servings of Coffee Plus or Bold Plus. You'll also receive a starter kit with over $100 in free gifts, including a rechargeable frother and gunmetal serving spoon by going to everydaydose.com/RBG or entering RBG at checkout. You'll also get free gifts throughout the year.
That's everydaydose.com/RBG for 45% off your first order.
And now back to the show.
Okay, well, before we ask the next question, I need to give a Sesame Street shout out because David and I are significantly older than you. And I remember studying, I don't know if you studied this, but I did a little postgraduate work that I had to do. And one of the courses was on social psychology. And we spent a great portion of time studying Sesame Street.
Wow, I believe it.
Yes, because, and we're this generation, maybe I can find the study, but the intelligence levels of kids when Sesame Street first came out jumped so significantly because of all of the social, emotional, all the facets of learning that were happening in that show, still are happening in that show. And that's our generation. It's why we have a podcast today. We could say Sesame Street and Deirdre Hall, but we won't talk about that right now. But yes, I mean, what a gift that you're in so many capacities we're going to talk about. But that in itself and the learning that's taking place is just astounding.
And how foundational. I love that you gave that shout out to PBS and answering that question. How foundational PBS was to all three of our growth and development of young children.
Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers. What was, the Electric Company? Yes. That was another big one. Yeah. There were so many things.
It was foundational.
And today we could go into Downton Abbey and so many shows that I love on PBS still. Okay, we won't go down that rabbit trail too far because we want to talk about you. But okay, so hearing you talk about this, Megan, I mean, number one, I would have loved to have known you at 10 and just encountered all of your giftedness, number one, in that, but also your heart for the Lord, that you felt that passionate about wanting to share Bible stories and things you were learning. So will you talk more, you said some, but about your parents and what they were doing to instill those things in you from that young?
Yeah, they gave me my own space to find my own interest and creativity. They never pushed me towards a certain interest saying, you have to learn how to do this. I expressed an interest in playing piano. So my dad would work with me sometimes and my mom would take me to piano lessons, but she also didn't let me quit, which I appreciate now. There were times where after school I was tired and I didn't feel like going into piano lessons and I didn't feel like practicing, but she would set a timer and said, you at least need to practice 15 minutes. And it wasn't out of, I know my daughter's going to be a piano player. It's, I know she's interested in this. She just needs to learn discipline. Yes. And so I'm grateful for that discipline that she pushed towards me. But they were incredibly supportive in providing spaces for me to, whether it was practice or perform. There were times that my mom would invite me to her school to share with her classmates, or my dad would put me on the schedule for service on Children's Sunday to perform. And so I'm grateful for them giving me that space, and I'm trying to do the same with my kids when they have an interest, to just give little nuggets of encouragement towards their creativity. Yeah.
So this episode is part of our Music City series on the podcast. And we'd love to ask you, was there a band or an artist, a song or a record that really shaped you?
Yeah, so I was surrounded by music through my father. He's a multi-instrumentalist and had a lot of relationships within the gospel industry to bring incredible artists as guests to our church. So I grew up singing like, the Winans, Mary, 25/7, all these incredible artists were guests, and they would come to our home for dinner. So I would get to see their spirit beyond the music. So I always loved artist. Didn't know if I would ever become an artist, but in the cars on the way to school, my dad would take me to school every day. He would play whatever he was interested in at the time. And I remember, these are in our CD age. My kids won't ever experience this. But he had Alicia Keys, Diary of Alicia Keys on CD. Wow. And he would only play one song on the album. And it was You Don't Know My Name. And he would play it on repeat. And in playing on repeat, I realized he was studying every piece of the production. So the strings, the piano, the vocals. Wow. And I remember, I think it was in that song, he was like, I wonder why they let her do that. And every time I would listen to the song, I'd be trying to listen for that one note that he was hearing. But he would specifically point out the parts of the song that he loved. He said, I love the way they did the harmonies on the vocals of this section, or listen to this. And so it forced me to dissect the song individually. And the song has a beautiful story and, music video that goes along with it. And so in hearing the song, I was able to see the pictures and see how the music contributed to the storyline. And so that song has always been a gold standard for me for storytelling, and it shaped the kind of songs that I want to create.
I need to listen to that. I don't know that song.
You got to watch the music video too. You don't know the name. It's really sweet. Yeah.
Talking about the unicorn of what you watched, you have become this in a beautiful way too, because you're the first Black female puppeteer on Sesame Street. What has that been like?
It was beautiful to see that I could make history in an organization that has been around for now 56 years, and at the time 52 years. And so it inspired me to know that anything is possible, even in an institution that has been around. There's still new changes that can be made. And I think that, it applies to anyone, whether you're starting a job at a bank or, starting a job at a school that's been around for 100 years, you can still make a difference and have a unique impact. Yeah. And that's why it's been special to me. And I also knew, in the moment I was still working full-time in corporate real estate. When I started at Sesame Street, I was working simultaneously and hoping that one day I could step into entertainment full-time. And so I got back from Sesame Street at maybe 10 o'clock the night before, and then went to work the next day and was just kind of processing my experience. There were pictures all around the walls of the set, of the behind the scenes over the years. And I didn't see any Black women puppeteering. And I didn't think anything of it. But as I was processing it back at my job, I was wondering, has there been another? So I texted one of the producers, and because it felt like when I was on set and they were taking pictures of me and my character as if it was a moment. And so I texted her, I said, am I the first Black woman to puppeteer? And she said, yes, we are so proud. And I was in tears at my desk.
I bet you were.
In that moment, I knew that news would inspire other girls.
Oh, so many.
Yeah. And so it wasn't necessarily about me that I was crying, but just knowing that I made history for a generation of creatives. They don't have to be puppeteers, but just people with unique interests to be inspired to start.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to say, I have a 6 and 3-year-old nephew.
Okay.
And I totally know your character.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, I totally do. So it's so fun to... Will you say your character's name too?
Gabrielle is my character. She's a 6-year-old Muppet girl. She loves to sing and dance. She loves everything about herself and her family. So it's been beautiful to watch her journey with other characters. She also loves nature. She had a segment called Nature Explorers with Elmo, where they would go and find little clues to whatever they were looking for in the episode.
Well, what's been your favorite part of being a part of Sesame Street?
My favorite part of Sesame Street is watching other people's first day on Sesame Street.
Really?
Whether it's a guest who's just touring the set, or a musical celebrity guest or someone who's just new to the crew, I love seeing them step through the doors because it's like stepping into your childhood. What's different about Sesame Street, it's a set that you can interact with and touch and walk through. So, there's shows like SpongeBob that I grew up watching. You can't walk into Bikini Bottom and hug SpongeBob.
Right.
Sesame Street, you can walk in and sit on the 1, 2, 3 steps. You can walk into Hooper's store. You can hug Big Bird and Elmo. So you can interact with the imagination of your childhood.
Wow.
And whether you're 40, 65, everyone has that same glow in their eye of seeing their childhood and touching it. So that's what I love about
that's so
working
cool.
there.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you also have a new super fun album called Cinderella Sweep. Will you share a little bit about your heart behind the album?
Yeah, so Cinderella Sweep was made really for young girls. So growing up, I listened to everything, but I didn't necessarily listen to music that was made with me in mind. So there was, pop songs that had themes that I really didn't understand or need to understand, but they could have had so much more of an impact on me if they had a purpose and a messaging for what I needed to hear. Messages of belonging, self-esteem, perseverance, dreaming big. And so all of the songs on the album are to inspire our young girls, of course, boys as well, will love and listen to the album.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure yours do.
Yes, they do. And it's the first time they've been fans of my music, which I'm
so
proud
good.
of. They are incredibly honest, which I appreciate. But this is the first time they've been genuine fans of my music. So they're all themes of self-esteem, going for your wildest dreams, loving your skin, and affirmations for just for life.
Wow.
So we have 15 tracks on the album. One of the songs is already out called A New Cinderella,
which is adorable.
Thank you.
Yes, I love it. Will you talk a little bit about that single? Because it's so fun and the video is so fun.
Yeah, so what's special about the album is we partnered the album with a nonprofit called Saving Our Daughters, which mentors young girls about 4th to 6th grade in the arts and provides them mentorship opportunities with celebrities in their respective fields, from journalists, actresses, singers, anything you can think of in the arts. And we are godparents to them. And so my role as a godparent, I thought, what if this album, I gave the opportunity to the girls to record and sing on the album. And so the founder helped organize 3 recordings in Atlanta, New York, and LA. And we brought them to, award-winning studios. And many of them, it was their first time in a recording studio. And they're seeing platinum records on the wall.
Yes.
Like, what is this?
Wow.
Well, this is, if you sell a certain amount of songs. And so they all learned songs with their music teachers and recorded in the studio. So New Cinderella features 53 girls from across the country. So real voices.
Wow.
And we also got some of the other godparents to participate in the album. So we have 7 celebrity godparents that are featured in the album, ranging from Broadway stars like Jasmine Forsberg, who's in the musical Six, Kayla Lane, who's a co-star in the movie Wonka with Timothée Chalamet.
Wow.
Selena Smith, who is in Annie the Musical. So wonderful girls. And the celebrity godparents, they range from like 14 to 25. So these are all young girls helping young girls.
Oh, that's so
beautiful.
So it's a beautiful collaborative project beyond just, being, this is my debut album. It's really a service project.
Yes.
That gave the opportunity and exposure to them. And after our first recording, we got the girls in front of the camera one by one to say, I want to be, and I said, when you get on camera, think big. What is your biggest dream that you would want to be if there are no boundaries? And this is after we recorded and after they had cameras from ABC on them singing and dancing. You would have thought that most of the girls would say, I want to be a singer now, or I want to be a movie star.
Yes.
They were very honest, and it's almost like their minds exploded with the possibilities. So the girls got up one by one. I want to be a baker. I want to be a chief financial officer.
Wow.
I want to be a judge.
Wow.
And so they were inspired and pumped and energetic to be whatever they wanted to be. And that was a wonderful outcome of the project.
Yes. Yeah. We'll link to the video and all these things we're talking about in the show notes. So people can see more. And now we're going to take a little break to hear from one of our sponsors who makes this podcast possible.
Sissy, you know I've been cooking more. We were going out for dinner often as empty nesters, but since getting a puppy, we're afraid to leave her alone in the house for long because she has a tendency to punish us by destroying things.
I know that tension, but cooking at home has a lot of benefits.
And you know who adds even more benefits to the equation? The awesome folks at Our Place. We overhauled our kitchen with the Our Place 4-piece cookware set. It's a multifunctional, high-performance, space-saving pots and pans. Buying the 4-piece cookware set saves you $150.
Plus, they all match in Our Place's famous colors.
I have it in sage green, and we leave it out all the time.
Same for me. A study by the Ecology Center in California found that 80% of nonstick pans contain Teflon, PFAS, which can be released into your food, home, and body. Also, a brand new study published in the Science of the Total Environment found that a single scratch on a nonstick coated pan can release approximately 9,100 plastic particles.
Our Place's products are trusted by Michelin star chefs and have over 80,000 five-star reviews.
And we have the Wonder Oven at the lake, which we love. It's a revolutionary air fryer and toaster oven that sold out 8 times, made from stainless steel and glass, offering an eco-friendly, high-performance cooking experience.
Stop cooking with toxic cookware and upgrade to Our Place today. Visit FromOurPlace.com/RBG and use code RBG for 10% off site-wide.
With a 100-day risk-free trial, free shipping and returns, you can experience this game-changing cookware with zero risk. Now that I'm at the lake, my morning alarm is my nephews coming in for snuggles. It is the best to start the day with 2 little boys and a puppy in the bed.
Which is like a litter of puppies in the bed.
Agreed. And my nephew Whit sometimes comes in singing while shaking his beloved Hiya Vitamins bottle like an instrument.
That amazing guy knows that typical children's vitamins are basically candy in disguise, filled with 2 teaspoons of sugar, unhealthy chemicals, and other gummy additives growing kids should never eat.
Hiya fills in the most common gaps in modern children's diets to provide the full body nourishment our kids need with the yummy taste they love.
Formulated with the help of pediatricians and nutritional experts, Hiya is pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, then supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals, including vitamin D, B12, C, zinc, folate, and many others to help support immune system, energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth, bones, and more.
And don't forget, they send a cool bottle with the first order and fun stickers to decorate. My nephews love theirs.
Are you tired of battling with your kids to eat their greens? Hiya now has Kids Daily Greens Plus Superfoods, a chocolate-flavored greens powder designed specifically for kids, packed with 55-plus whole food ingredients to support brain power, development, and digestion. Just scoop, shake, and sip with milk or any non-dairy beverage for a delicious and nutritious boost your kids will actually enjoy.
We've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you must go to hiyahealth.com/RBG. This deal is not available on their regular website.
Go to hiyahealth.com/RBG and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults.
And now back to our show.
Well, in addition to music, you have a children's book coming out, summer of 2026, called Talk to the Hand.
Mm-hmm.
Will you talk about that book and just even what you hope kids and adults will gain from reading it?
Yeah. So it is a dream come true to have a children's book. I've grown up, loving books, a big reader. And so my book, Talk to the Hand, is about how I found my voice doing puppetry and ventriloquism. And it shows a journey of me, being, kind of quiet kid that love, creating stories with puppets, and my parents helping me find resources to learn how to do puppetry. And then I present to my class and then realize I have this own lioness inside that can roar and share. And there's a little activity at the end of the book where you can create your own puppet.
Wow.
Yes, I'm really excited about that part because it actually helped me with my son. He's also, my oldest son, very shy, had a hard time opening up, and also had a speech and developmental delay that he had to work through. And doing puppetry helped him express himself and in ways that I couldn't just as a parent. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. Well, okay, let's shift and talk parenting for a minute. Will you tell us about your fellas and what you have learned from raising two boys?
Yes, so my two boys are so sweet. They're 6 and 4, and they are complete opposites.
Are they?
Raising them has been very different from each other. My oldest is shy, sweet, and quiet, and very introspective and observing. My youngest is loud, and he has it's like his volume button is just stuck, and even his whisper is loud.
Volume button is stuck. That's so good.
It's like we're going into the library. Okay, That's not a whisper. He's aggressive. He's assertive.
Wow.
He's the star of the room, and wherever he walks through, one of my favorite moments of him was going on into an airplane, and he was about 10 months old. And we were one of the last to get on the plane, and he's just smiling ear to ear, and he says hi to every passenger. Hi, hi, hey. And this is like an 8 a.m. flight. And the flight attendant, the flight attendant said, "Ooh, you can help me," and he blows a kiss at her. And so,
no.
Yes.
You're in trouble.
Like, oh my God. So yeah, they're complete opposite, and my oldest is just rolling his eyes.
So good.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what I've learned through them is that every child is different. Their needs are different. So I've learned not to compare them to any other child, and knowing that their journey is going to follow on their own, and I can do my best to provide what they need. And that would be my advice to other parents is let your child have their own journey, and don't compare when they learn to talk, when they learn to walk. Do your best to give them what they need, and it'll happen in their own timing.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, you are sharing beautiful advice already. And that was actually one of the questions we wanted to ask. What would you say some of the best parenting advice you've been given along the way?
This is really simple, but when my oldest son was having speech issues, he was about 2-3 years old and still nonverbal, not saying full sentences. I felt like a bad mother because all of my other friends, their kids were reading. They were having full conversations. They were retelling stories, and my son was saying 2 to 3 words, and I felt like it was my fault. The doctor was saying, "Well, you should talk to him more. You should read to him more." And I was doing all of the things. I was looking at all kinds of speech resources, and then I felt even more embarrassment because my mother is a speech language pathologist, and so it's like I don't know what's going on. And my mom even spent time to test him with her resources, and had another friend who wasn't biased, not the grandma, to test him, and their advice was he'll be fine. And that was hard for me to understand. I was like, but he's not fine right now. But their words were, he'll be fine. And they said, well, we know he'll be fine. We know he's all there. We've seen this a million times. These are the resources that they have. These are the steps that you can take. And one of the recommendations they had for me was to take him to an audiologist and an ENT, and we found that he had stagnant fluid in his ear, and so he was hearing underwater. And as soon as the fluid started draining, his speech opened up completely, and he expressed every thought that he had that he hadn't been able to express now. So even now that he's 6, he's telling me how he felt when he was 2. So this is a funny story. He told me recently when we go to my parents' house, his grandparents. He doesn't like staying in my childhood room. He prefers to go to my mother's room. And I thought, okay, maybe he just wants to spend extra time, with grandma. So he would sleep in her room, and I wouldn't be hurt. I'm like, okay, you can go, stay with your grandma. And this was when he was 2 to 3 years old. So a couple of weeks ago, he said, "Mommy, when we go to," he calls her Geechee, "when we go to Geechee's house, I don't like staying with you." I said, why? He's like, I stay with Geechee because I don't like the dolls in your room. They're always looking at me. It's like this whole time. So he's totally expressing. So he was there processing everything, and he would even go with me to New York City as a 2-year-old. And just recently, he told me, he said, "Mommy, New York doesn't have very much grass." And we didn't see the Statue of Liberty when we were there, and so. He'll be fine.
Yes.
They will be fine. Is the best advice that I've had.
That's great advice
for that.
Do you have something that you wish somebody had told you when you were just starting your parenting journey? They'll be fine is a great one.
Yeah. But I think early in my parenting journey, I think I would have loved to hear just one day at a time. Because you kind of want to plan for all of the years and know and control how everything will happen. But the days and the moments are so special. And, you go back through your camera roll and you see all of those moments. And I just wish I would have just been a little bit more present to realize, okay, maybe let's not think about the future overly hard and just enjoy those moments.
Oh, I love that. Well, we have a silly last question, but before we get to that, will you just talk to folks about where they can find and follow along with all the amazing things you're doing?
So I am on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok under my name, Megan Piphus, and my single is under all streaming platforms. It's out now. And I have another single out coming out June 6th.
You do?
Yes.
What's it called?
It's called ABCs of Me, and I have a very exciting feature on the song, who's a children's superstar. So I can't wait.
Can you tell us, or is it a secret?
I don't think it's a secret. It's Gracie's Corner.
Oh,
yes.
Wow.
And she's a wonderful, icon within children's music. And so I also feature the Soul Children of Chicago, a legendary children's choir out of Chicago that's been around for over 43 years. So that'll come out June 6th.
Wow.
And you'll also be able to pre-save the album on June 6th.
Yay!
Yes. And I'll be on all streaming platforms.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't want this to end. You are a delight.
You are a delight.
You really are. We're just so grateful you would have shared this time.
Yes.
We end every episode with something fun and food related. So we have a 2-part question for you. Part 1 is queso or guac, and part 2 is what's your favorite taco?
Okay, so queso is my kryptonite.
Oh, okay.
I eat pretty clean, like smoothies, juices. I love vegetables, but queso I could eat every day of the week. So there's a lot of places here in Nashville that have great queso. Velvet Taco and Condado. My favorite taco is from Condado. And so I like... Condado.
I don't know
It's in
Condado.
Capitol View.
Wow.
But it's just a fast casual Mexican restaurant, and you can customize. I know I'm going into a deep dive on this. You can customize your tacos, and they make all of their tacos in-house. So they have a fresh hard shell taco, and they have different flavors of hard shell tacos. Like you can get a Dorito flavored hard shell taco. Yes. And so I get that. They're hard shell tacos with shredded chicken and green salsa. I might end up going there today.
I know, you're making me want to too.
We're ready for lunch.
Yes.
Talk.
But it's a great place.
Megan, thank you so much.
So
Not just for being with us, but all of the amazing things you're putting out into the world to help people.
Thank you so much.
So grateful. You are such a light.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
David, what a team we have that we get to call friends who help make this podcast possible. Chris Starrett, our engineer.
Our management team at KCH.
And we are thrilled to be a part of the That Sounds Fun network.
Our music was created by the insanely talented Dave Haywood of Lady A.
And if this podcast felt helpful to you, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all the things.
We are grateful for you and cheering you on always.